Hello, everybody. I call to order the Gladstone City Council meeting for September 13th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Good evening, everybody, and happy International Chocolate Day. I think this is probably my favorite day of the year. The City of Gladstone is abiding by guidelines set forth in House Bill 2560, which requires we make all meetings accessible remotely through technological means and provide the opportunity for the general public to participate to the best of our ability. Therefore, this meeting will be open to the public both in person and virtually using the Zoom platform. The council members and staff will be in person in our council chambers, as well as those citizens that wish to attend in person. The Zoom access instructions can be found on the meeting agenda. Public comment requests were accepted prior to noon today and were to include your topic and phone number. Because this is a hybrid meeting, please be patient if we run into any glitches. In order to keep this meeting moving forward, if folks become disruptive, we will mute the microphones and remove them from the meeting. If that fails to stop the disruption, we will recess the meeting and return within 5 minutes. If we are unable to continue, council will briefly meet to move unfinished business to the next council agenda. Tonight, we will begin with the Clackamas Fire District number 1 update. This will be followed by the consent agenda, which includes approval of the August 9th, 2022 regular meeting minutes, approval of the July bank balances, budget report for periods ending July 31st, 2022, approval of the July check register, legal costs on projects, and the department head monthly reports for August 2022. Our regular meeting agenda includes item 7, which is a contract with Shields Oblets Johnson, referred to as SOJ, to project manage the Gladstone Public Works Facility project. And item 8 is to accept a grant from the Oregon Department of Human Services for the Gladstone Senior Center. Item 9 is resolution 1212 to apply for a local government grant for the Oregon State Department of Parks and Recreation Department for a paved loop pathway at the Gladstone Nature Park. And item 10 is project turnkey. Tammy, could you please call the roll? Councilor Ripley.
Yes.
Councilor Alexander.
Yes.
Councilor Tracy.
Present.
Councilor Hartman.
Here.
Councilor Todd.
Here.
Councilor Garlington.
Here.
Mayor Stemple. Here. Could everyone please stand for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Are there any agenda additions or corrections?
I have none, Mayor. Thank you.
All right. First is the consent agenda. Do we have any questions or concerns? I'll start with Tracy Todd. Councilor Todd.
I do not.
Councilor Hartman.
None.
Councilor Tracy.
None here.
Councilor Alexander.
No.
Councilor Ripley.
No questions.
Councilor Garlington.
None for me.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Councilor Tracy and seconded by Councilor Todd. Do we have any questions, concerns? I see none. Could you do a roll call vote, please? Councilor Alexander.
Yes.
Councilor Tracy.
Aye.
Councilor Hartman.
Aye.
Councilor Todd.
Aye.
Councilor Garlington.
Yes.
Councilor Ripley.
Yes.
Mayor Stemple. Yes, the consent agenda has been approved. Correspondence, do we have any?
I have nothing.
All right. So we'll start with the presentation from Clackamas Fire District 1.
Good evening, Council. It's a pleasure to be here in front of you this evening. Tonight, Bruce Nealons, our firefighter here at Station 322, is going to lead off with Gladstone specific information.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Council members and staff members. Thanks for having me. My name is Bruce Nealons. I'm your firefighter on C shift. We were just talking about it earlier today, and Captain Bauer thought it'd be a good idea to get some new faces and put some names to those faces. So if you guys see me around, I'm here every 3 days. So it's nice to meet you all. Just a quick update from what we've been up to the last month or so. This last month in August, we ran 153 calls in the city of Gladstone, inside the city limits. As far as training goes, we were able to utilize the old city council building next door that is being torn down. I'm sure you guys all have seen that, but we were able to utilize that for a lot of different training. I won't go into too much detail, but that was great for us as well as other district members. Some PR events we were able to attend and participate in were the Volcano Harley Davidson 9/11 Memorial event, as well as we were able to attend the last Gladstone High School football standby, did EMS standby for that. And then just with all of our recent red flag warnings and increased fire behavior, whether we've only had a few small brush and bark dust fires in Gladstone, so been pretty uneventful for us and you guys locally. But overall, a busy summer. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. And then just looking out a little broader about Clackamas fire activities, of course, in addition to the events that Bruce mentioned, we were present. I think we talked about it last month at the community festival and National Night Out and those activities. But our operations chief sent out an email today that I just thought kind of would give you a snapshot about what it's been like for the fire department, fire district here recently. Clackamas Fire family, the past few weeks has been incredibly busy for our crews and staff. With the deepest level of respect for your dedication to service, I want to thank everyone for the incredible hard work over the last few weeks. Since August 29th, you have handled the McIver fire, 15 structure fires, 5 vehicle fires, 45 brush fires, 2 vehicle entrapments, 1 high angle rescue, and 12 cardiac arrests. Not to mention we've had crews and INT members assigned to fires in California, Joseph, Grants Pass, and Oak Ridge. This is an incredible achievement and your performance has been exemplary. Thank you. It's been a busy month. So all the breathing room that we had back in June and July got sucked up really quick in August for us. But so it's been busy, and certainly the last piece of activity for us over this last weekend with the McIver fire was pretty impactful to community members and residents out in certainly the Redland, Eagle Creek, Estacada area that may have felt the impacts more proximately. But certainly we all remember 2020 and the unease that could bring to everyone. So I just thought I'd share kind of a little bit about the background of what Clackamas Fire did to prepare for the events. We stood up our incident management team. We established an event called the East Winds event, which brought together many members of our team, from incident commanders to planning chiefs to logistics chiefs, finance chiefs, et cetera. And so we ran that for a few days, stepping up into Friday. And then of course, Friday night, the McIver fire popped. But Friday we were prepared with some upstaffing. The incident management team, the operations chief decided to upstaff on Friday. So we had upstaffed 7 units, including 2 brush trucks, 2 interface engines, 3 water tenders, and our hand crew of 20 firefighters. So we were well positioned for what may come. Unfortunately, we were. And to the conversation maybe last month, 2 months ago, some of the dollars that we used were funded by the state with the $35,000 grant. That grant has been well expended now. But ultimately, yeah, with those upstaffings, we were able to provide over a period of time to the McIver fire 42 apparatus, totaling 87 personnel. And those personnel would include people like myself. I served as both deputy incident commander and then operations section chief, just at different times during the fire. But during that entire time, engine 322 remained in service in Gladstone. And we had 13 response units in service across our district. So, which is pretty comparable to what we would have faced if we had a structure fire, with the number of units still remaining available. So our upstaffing, our planning helps protect not just the incident locally to McIver fire, but also make sure that the residual risk was mitigated. And again, engine 322 was present in Gladstone. They may have run a couple calls during that time. So it's been busy. There's a brief mention. Thanks, gentlemen. There was a brief mention about some grants that I think you folks will be talking about later on. And Clackamas Fire was just fortunate to receive 2 grants that we found out about this week, one of which is about just under $1 million to replace our cardiac monitors. That's about half the dollars that we need, but that's a substantial piece and we're very appreciative. That was a federal grant. And then we also received through the State Homeland Security Grant Program about $97,000 for a simulation program, which will help provide us some information and training, but will also help us demonstrate to the public what the impacts of fire can be and what the impacts of mitigations like fuels reduction could be with those. So we're excited to get that and get trained up on it so we can start bringing a different level of community education out. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
I have one quick question. The numbers that you gave us were from August 29th until,
Until today, I would imagine.
so 2 weeks?
Just about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those are crazy numbers.
Yeah, it's been busy. It's been busy. Our folks have done high angle rescue. They pulled a parachutist out of a tree.
Oh,
Yeah, that was probably one of the more interesting ones. We shared a call on 26 with Gresham Fire of a gasoline tanker rollover that caught fire. It's been busy this past month or so.
well, the fact that you guys are being so proactive, of course, that's your job.
Yeah.
But it's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
That McIver fire was crazy.
It was busy. Crews, Estacada, their community, our firefighters, Portland Fire, Aurora, Lake Oswego, you name it, all came to the fire, and it's a good thing they did.
I think
So-
people were very scared because of a redo of 2020. We have a niece and her husband and 2 little girls that live in Estacada. And so they were evacuating,
Sure.
even though it's not really, really close, but they're, nope, we're done. We're
Yeah.
out. Yeah, to be smart. Does anybody have any questions? So
Yeah.
do we have information on defensible spaces? And I think that's something that people need to understand when there's fires, even here locally. A wildland fire could happen here in Gladstone, a wildfire.
Sure.
could
Yeah.
just go crazy.
Yeah.
And people don't understand what defensible space means. If there's some kind of a flyer or something that we could put on our website, that would be helpful.
Yeah, I'll follow up. Absolutely. There's lots of information about defensible space and other preparations you can make when that space doesn't necessarily exist between suburban or neighborhoods.
Yeah, we need to know what to do.
Certainly.
Thank you very
Over to
much.
Jackie. Thank you so much.
All right. So before we start, I'd like to say a couple things. First, for those folks that would like to speak, the deadline to accept comments was noon today. And as a reminder, we allow 3 minutes for public comment. Second, as I do before every meeting, I would like to say a few words regarding the city council. The most important limitation we have sitting here is that we are representing the citizens of Gladstone, not our own personal agendas and beliefs. There have been many times when a decision being made doesn't align with what we would like personally, but have made a decision based on what is best for the city as a whole. That doesn't mean our personal beliefs have changed, just that the city's needs were more important. As we discuss and consider matters, there are laws and rules we have to use as the basis of our decisions. These start at the federal and state level, then filter down to our city's comprehensive plan, city charter, codes, and ordinances. We do not have the luxury of randomly making decisions, but instead have to be consistent and take a path that is defensible. So first on our regular agenda is item number 7, which is to consider approval of a personal services contract between the city of Gladstone and Shields Oblets Johnson, SOJ, in the amount of $262,020 for project management of the Gladstone Public Works Facility and authorizing the city administrator to sign the agreement. Staff?
Thank you and good evening, Mayor and City Council. At your last City Council meeting, you approved a contract for PNC Construction to start Phase 1 of the new Public Works Facility, which the voters approved. You also got a chance to meet Kim Knox, who is currently the city's project manager for this project. We hired Kim to complete 2 tasks, and that was the project setup and the selection process of the Progressive Design Build Services contract. That work has been completed, and the city would like to move forward with retaining Kim SOJ to assist the city with tasks 3 and 4. And task 3 is the design development, design build phase, and then the final design and construction closeout. So this would take us through completion of the project. The amount of the contract is $262,020. And in our city contracting rules, there is a provision that allows the city to directly award a contract to somebody that has had prior work experience with the city. SOJ helped us with the completion of the $13.8 million Gladstone Civic Center. Kim has done an excellent job with the first two phases of the Public Works Department. She has working knowledge of the relevant issues, and we believe it's in the city's best interest, both financially and otherwise, to continue with the continuity of using SOJ to complete those tasks. The spending authority is over my ability to sign, so that is why we're asking you to approve the contract and authorizing the city administrator to sign the agreement.
All right, thank you. All right, questions and concerns, Counselor Todd.
I don't have any questions or concerns. I feel that Kim Knox has led us well in the past, and the continuity I think would be great.
All right, Counselor Hartman,
I have no questions. Thank you.
Counselor Tracy,
No question.
Counselor Alexander,
No question.
Counselor Ripley,
I have no questions.
Counselor Garlington.
None for me. Thank you.
I don't have any questions, but I agree. She's done a fantastic job. And I'm looking forward to her working with us again on this project if we approve it. So since there's no questions, I would entertain a motion to approve the personal services contract.
I make a motion that we consider or that we approve the personal service contract between the city of Gladstone and Shields Oblets Johnson in the amount of $262,020 for project management of the Gladstone Public Works Facility and authorizing the city administrator to sign the agreement.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Counselor Garlington and seconded by Counselor Hartman. Do we have any further questions or concerns? I don't see any. Tammy, could you do a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Hartman,
Aye.
Counselor Tracy,
Aye.
Counselor Alexander,
Yes.
Counselor Ripley,
Yes.
Counselor Todd,
Yes.
Counselor Garlington.
Yes.
Mayor Stemple.
Yes, the contract has been approved. Great. Next is item number 8, to consider accepting a grant from the Oregon Department of Human Services, Office of Aging and People with Disabilities and Community Services and Supports Unit. That is a huge name. I thought I had that wrong, in the amount of $75,000 for congregate meal site modernization and improvements in enhanced transportation at the Gladstone Senior Center. Staff.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Before I hand it over to our Community Services Manager, I want to commend her for the effort that she put into seeking this unique type of funding that does not require any matching funds. And so we are very proud of Tiffany for her efforts in this, and I'm going to let her go through a little bit about what was included in the application and what the city intends to do with the funds if the council accepts them.
Hi, I hope you accept them. This was a super easy grant. It was an offering from Human Services, Department of Human Services to senior centers or places that serve people with disabilities or the aged. And so we were really encouraged by the county to go for this. We didn't need a whole lot of encouragement. But it was right up our alley because we intend to modernize the center and to upgrade the center in many ways. And this allows us to grow in, the facility itself. So a bus and the building. And so what we're going to do with this specifically is one grant for $50,000 is for transportation. And even though we have a van that, a minivan, which can carry up to 5 people in it, we are at the point where we need an upgrade. We have a tram bus, which holds up to 14 people. But because we're so popular with our Friday trips and outings, we really are. A lot of people come from other centers also and have been finding out about the very organized and really fun and adventurous trips that Michelle McIntyre plans. We're full for the bus, and then there's just not enough room in the minivan. So if we can surplus the minivan, which is about 3 years old now, I think, then we would be able to, with that 50 grand, be able to purchase a nice Sprinter, or, I don't know what the various names are, but we'll do our research to find a really nice 10 to 12 passenger, 13 passenger. I'm not sure how many passenger seats, but as many as we can at that level. And then any one of us can drive that also. There's no special requirement. So it's a real plus for us to do that. I've talked to the foundation, which, purchased the minivan for the center, and they're totally fine with us surplusing that and using that in case the cost is more than $50,000. So it feels like a blessing, and I would love to take advantage of that. And the other piece, they call it congregate meal infrastructure modernization. And that's because, our first idea was actually to get, maybe to hire a planner or designer to come and just tell us what needs to get upgraded, looking at our dining room and the kitchen, to just give us the design. We went to them before we wrote that and we asked, and they said, they wanted us to do the actual work. And so they wanted to see some meat out of this money. And so it's only $25,000. So we did decide that we need to upgrade all of our countertops using new material, and also make a station that's a compost station that you see kind of in restaurants, where it has recycle, compost, and all of those things. So we can start to be more sustainable with our products and our use in the center. And also there's a need to have our current tough shed. We have 2 tough sheds outside of the center, but one of the sheds is large enough to where we can house our one of our freezers. We can house our to be purchased washer and dryer, and also our extra food storage because of the food program. So we just want to compile that and make it another workstation area. And the last thing, I know you're thinking $25,000, but we would provide like a shelter that would go from the back door, if you've ever delivered meals, the back door of our center to the shed. So it would have a nice cover, because most of the time it's raining or icky weather. And that's been a constant sort of complaint with volunteers needing to run in and out with their food. And also our deliveries that we get from a big truck and various things. So we feel like these things would really upgrade us, and we would love to go for that. And what else can I say? This is my first staff report.
I think
We
you've done
haven't-
great.
Yeah, Gladstone Senior Center hasn't had, really any huge remodels in the center. We've had, I think there was a roof situation, but we haven't had sort of a look at being modernized and growing beyond sort of the 60s, 70s look inside. So really that's our goal. And we want to be attractive to a wide range of aging people, so I think that is the direction we're headed by accepting this. I don't know. So our options are to accept the grant or to not accept the funding and maintain what we currently have for transportation and, the dining area. There's no matching cost. We'd surplus the 5-passenger van. And yeah,
There is discussions about trying to convince the police chief to take the minivan and become a patrol car, but I'm not sure that we're going to be able to do that.
All right, questions. Counselor Todd.
Oh, I have no questions, but I want to thank you very much. Your work has just been incredible, and I love seeing what's happening there. Thank you very much.
Counselor Hartman.
I will echo the same statement. To get 2 grants at the maximum amount with no matching is hats off to you. So great job.
Counselor Tracy.
No questions. Same though, Tiffany. Thank you for the work you've done.
Counselor Alexander.
No questions. Good job.
Counselor Ripley.
I have no questions. Thanks.
Counselor Garlington.
No questions. Great job.
thank you.
My only question was about the van, that the foundation had purchased it and if it was okay with them to surplus it.
Yep.
And please find us more grants just like that. That'd be awesome. And you need a bigger kitchen. You don't just need new countertops. You need a bigger kitchen. So we need to look bigger and figure out how to do that one. All right. So no more questions or concerns. I would entertain a motion to accept the grant. Somebody's got to, yes, let's do it.
So moved.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Counselor Tracy and seconded by Counselor Todd to accept the grant. Do we have any further questions, concerns, or discussion? I don't see any. Tammy, could you do a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Garlington,
Yes.
Counselor Todd,
Yes.
Counselor Hartman,
Aye.
Counselor Tracy,
Aye.
Counselor Alexander,
Yes.
Counselor Ripley,
Yes.
Mayor Stemple.
Yes, the grant has been accepted. Yay. Again, please find us more. All right, item number 9 is to consider adopting a resolution authorizing the city of Gladstone to apply for a local government grant from the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department for a paved loop pathway at the Gladstone Nature Park and delegating authority to the city administrator to sign the application. Staff.
Thank you. So this request is a little different than the previous one where you were accepting a grant award. And this one, we're asking you to approve a resolution that allows us to apply for a grant award. Many agencies don't require that. This one, through the Oregon Department of Parks and Recreation, does require that the governing body proclaim that, yes, we're committed to this project. If you give us the money, we are going to do that. So that is why this is before you tonight. If we receive the money, we will have to come back and accept it at a later date. And so we're asking for permission to apply for this project. As you all are aware, we've spent many years completing site plans. One was for the nature park and another was for the Meldrum Bar Park site plan. Most of the time, in order for you to receive grant funds, you have to have a site plan completed. So Gladstone is well posed for that. The other change that we did this year was we used some of our ARPA funds to hire a grant writer. And so this is an example of if the city council moves forward with the resolution, the grant writer will finish with the 4 pages of check items that we're required to submit with the application and to see if we are awarded the money. So this specific project is for a paved looped pathway at the Gladstone Nature Park. I believe we do have one slide to show the audience what we are talking about here. And as you can see, that's all right.
We're getting there.
When we had the nature park site plan created and adopted, the consultants were pretty clear that any of these projects that you want to complete are going to have to be done in stages, and you're going to have to be aggressive with finding grant funds. And the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department is an excellent opportunity for us to try to improve the accessibility of that area. So the amount that we are estimating is to apply for $100,000 to do, you see the looped pathway there. There is a match that the city would also have to contribute to, which we're estimating to be $50,000. Our Public Works Director, Darren Canaparoli, took this to the Parks and Recreation Board, and they gave it their approval to the City Council to recommend that we apply for that. Connectivity and accessibility is important. As you're aware, we are also working on the Webster Quezon crosswalk that's going to be complete in the spring of 2023. So we believe that this project fits with the City Council goals and also with the site plan that was just developed. And so tonight we're asking for you to approve the resolution allowing staff to submit the application.
The only path that we have up there now that's ADA accessible is the main one that goes from Webster over to Oatfield, the big thick one. All of the other paths, am I correct on this? They're all chipped.
And I'm not even sure, Darren, is that even considered ADA based on that,
The slope.
the slope coming up off of Oatfield Road?
I know that the main portion of the path, I'm not 100% sure on Oakfield Road. But Mayor, you're correct. All the other paths in there are just wood chip paths.
Yeah. So this would make this park way more accessible for people with disabilities now, and they would love it. would any of this match be available through SDC funds?
Yeah, there is a portion that SDC funds will be able to pay for. I'm not sure exactly what the number is, but it's a rather large number. I want to say 64, 65%, something like that.
Perfect. Good. That's what we need that money for. Great. All right. Any questions or concerns, Counselor Todd?
I have none.
Counselor Hartman?
My only question is why not apply for more?
Because we want to apply for a project that we know we can reasonably get done in the time amount that we are allotted to do it. And we feel like this is practical for Gladstone to complete.
Okay, thank you.
And there's not a whole lot of grants available, unfortunately. We have to be creative. Counselor Tracy?
No question.
Counselor Alexander?
No question.
Counselor Ripley?
I have no questions.
Counselor Garlington?
No questions.
No questions?
I swear I have no questions.
Just no questions. I don't have any other questions. So I would entertain a motion then to approve the resolution.
I make a motion that we approve the resolution. Let me go find it.
1212.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 1212, authorizing the city of Gladstone to apply for a local government grant from the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department for a paved loop pathway at the Gladstone Nature Park and delegating authority to the city administrator to sign the application.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Counselor Garlington and seconded by Counselor Alexander. Do I have any further questions, concerns, or discussion? I don't see anything. Could you do a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Todd,
I can't
Yes.
read my writing at all.
Counselor Hartman,
Aye.
Counselor Tracy,
Aye.
Counselor Garlington,
Yes.
Counselor Alexander,
Yes.
Counselor Ripley,
Yes.
Mayor Stemple.
Yes, resolution 1212 has been approved. So the last item is number 10. Clackamas County Board of Commissioners, referred to as the BCC, will receive funding for a project called Turnkey, which is for the purpose of acquiring motels and hotels for transitional housing. One of those hotels that they're looking at is in Gladstone, and the board has asked for input from the Gladstone City Council staff.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. Just to give a little bit of background, I received notice of this last Wednesday. It's the first time I heard of it. The county administrator said that the county commissioners would like input from the Gladstone City Council, and they'd like that input by September 19th. This is the only agenda that we can talk about it. So what I did is to try in one day to put together some talking points. And I think it's important that I read these into the record because this was posted after the packet was published. And I want to make sure that the audience is aware of the full information. So Clackamas County provided the city with the following information. The county has applied for funding from the state's Project Turnkey 2.0 in the hopes of acquiring one or more hotel properties for use as transitional and permanent housing. A successful turnkey award and property purchase will help the county meet its strategic goals related to housing and homelessness, helping ensure that in Clackamas County, homelessness is rare, brief, and not reoccurring. The county will learn next week whether they will be receiving a turnkey funding award from the state. Ahead of that, the Board of County Commissioners is considering a short list of properties. One of those properties is in Gladstone, the Holiday Inn Express on 82nd Drive. The 100-room hotel is in excellent condition. If purchased, the county would likely bend multiple funding sources. The property would be converted from use as a commercial hotel to a mixed-use facility offering short-term transitional housing for people experiencing homelessness or with behavioral health needs, as well as permanent supportive housing for very low-income households with histories of homelessness. The county would work with local community-based organizations to provide on-site services. It is likely that most, if not all of the rooms would eventually be converted to permanent housing. This is a beautiful location that would provide a positive environment for housing some of the most vulnerable families in our community. Program design and how the services are offered, what eligibility preferences may be put in place would happen after a property purchase. Part of that design process would be gathering input from the Gladstone community, as was done with the development of Tukwila Springs. Gladstone has been a great partner with the county in pursuing our shared goal of ending homelessness. We would welcome this further opportunity to collaborate on creating a lasting resource to provide permanent affordable housing and safety off the streets for very vulnerable neighbors in our community. So the talking points that I developed for the city council to consider include the following. One, the city of Gladstone already supports transitional housing with the recent completion of Tukwila Springs project. It provides 48 units of permanent supportive housing for low-income individuals earning 30% of the area median income and below. This is an excellent partnership, and the city should focus on helping those residents be successful. Number two, Gladstone is the smallest city in the metro area of Clackamas County. We are struggling to keep up with the current service levels our citizens deserve, hence the recent contract for services with Clackamas Fire District and implementation of the parking fee at Meldrum Bar Park. Number three, if the city council supports the proposal, the Holiday Inn will be removed from the tax rolls. The revenue loss impacts to the general fund are significant. $131,992 in property taxes annually and $125,259 in transient lodging taxes annually. So the total loss of revenue to the city would be $257,251. This is revenue we rely on for our police, fire, park, senior center, economic development, and tourism. The city would need to strategize where the reduction in services would occur. There is uncertainty in our community on what the citizens desire for transitional housing, and the quick turnaround period to the county should give the city council pause for consideration. There is also uncertainty on how the transitional housing culture would affect city resources, especially given the proximity of this location to High Rocks and Safeway, where there is an established presence of emergency rescue personnel and law enforcement throughout the summer months. So with the little time that we've had to prepare for these items, these are the areas that we think the city council should consider first when talking about whether or not they would like to move forward with this proposal.
Thank you. I'm sure we have questions. Counselor Todd.
I have a lot of questions, actually. I felt that your talking points were exactly what I was needing to hear. I needed to know what the revenue loss would be, what the plan is. I'm very concerned by how fast this is moving. Very concerned because we need to know how it will impact our tax base, our whole plan for the transient lodging tax going towards, improved areas that lead to that hotel. Yeah, I'm just very concerned by how fast it's going. And so that's all I really have to say about it right now.
Counselor Hartman.
Thank you. I mean, I think it goes without saying that it's really disappointing that the county only gave us 6 days to discuss this when, the grant closed on August 19th for application. And I know that you don't need to identify the properties in order to apply for the grant. And so I'm just curious at why this is moving so quickly and why there's a rush. I think often when programs like this are initiated at a high level, our city level government is often forgotten about. That how is this going to impact us operationally? We all want to end homelessness. We all want to do that, but I don't think that we have the resources because I feel like a program like this, we have to have a partnership. We don't have the funding for community health workers. We don't have the capacity to take on potentially 100+ individuals that need a lot of resources. And I think when programs like this come to a city, we have to be ready also. We want to be set up to succeed. I think it's worth noting that, Gladstone has 4 affordable transitional housing properties within our city limits already, including Tequila. That doesn't go to say there's others out there, but those are the ones that are on the listing when you go to Clackamas Housing Authority. I think, I guess, can you clarify, has the county received the fund or received that they were awarded the grant?
No, according to the wording is that they will learn this week whether they'll be receiving the funding award. I don't have a list of any of the other properties. I can share that I know that Wilsonville was reached out to, and that's the only one that I know of that they have contacted.
Okay. And they said no, right? And in terms of, yeah, I mean, I guess for me, I can't make a decision with no plan because I think there's a huge difference between a transitional house or transitional program that deals with folks experiencing extreme mental illnesses or addiction or substance abuse versus a transitional home for families or people escaping domestic violence or human trafficking versus people just experiencing homelessness because they no longer could afford their housing. And so without a solid plan of what their plan is to do with this hotel, I just don't feel like I can make a decision with no information. In terms of, I guess my last question, in terms of zoning, right now it's zoned as a general commercial area. That would be an additional step we would have to take. Is that correct?
I don't know what the zoning requirements would
But if it's like
be any different. It is zoned commercial now. That
So we wouldn't have to take that step to.
I haven't done
Oh,
the
okay.
background
Okay.
and looked
Well,
into.
you've had
to
6 days.
zoning.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of all I had to say.
Counselor Tracy.
So I have a couple questions. First question is this hotel on the market? Do we know?
It is.
Okay. So it's on the market. They're looking at it. They're prospecting on this hotel. If the funding comes in, then they could potentially move forward. Now, where do we have the opportunity to stop them from moving forward? Or is this just basically going to be us talking and they do what they want to do?
I can have our city attorney speak from a legal perspective. I will tell you, as a courtesy, the county reached out to ask the Gladstone
Sure.
City Council.
So this is our premier hotel in the city.
Correct.
Okay. And so what cities would offer up their premier hotel? And believe me, I understand the need, but I'm wondering what the county's thinking here, quite frankly, because it is our premier hotel. And it's not disparaging to say, the budget motel on McLaughlin or one of the other motels are they're in a high traffic area. This is the hotel that's right on the river. I think you're going to be pouring resources from police and fire into that area every single day. And it's not, again, it's not an affront. It's just the reality of some of these transitional houses. And I mean, I read a police report today where we're making a lot of call runs down to our transitional housing SROs down here off of Webster. I'm all for getting us in that mode. I don't think offering up a premier hotel in the city is a good way of going forward. So I think there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. I don't think 6 days for a real informed discussion. You have Counselor Hartman who's saying, I can't really make a decision on this without a plan. I mean, I can just based on the fact that it's our premier hotel. I could say, no, it's not the right location. We need to probably look deeper. And I think Clackamas County needs to look deeper instead of coming to us and asking us to basically forfeit our premier hotel. So, I mean, that's where I am on it. They need to give us a lot more information than this for a decision. But to the point of whether or not we are in a position to be able to say, no, this won't work for our city. I guess if City Attorney Jacobs could answer that question, that'd be great. If not, then I think we're all still waiting for some information from the county, or we're not.
Good evening,
Chad, do you
Mayor.
want to weigh in?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Chad Jacobs from the City Attorney's Office. As I understand it, at this point, the county is asking for input from the city council. And it's really up to the county about whether they want to proceed or not. So we can say no and they could proceed. Even if we say no, we could say no and they could say, well, we're not going to go against the city council's wishes. The grant agreement is between the county and the grant funding agency, and they're going to have to spend the money in accordance with that grant agreement. The city really has no veto power, to answer your question more directly.
To finish up, thank you. I mean, that just basically tells me that the decision will be made outside of this body.
Counselor Alexander.
I have to agree with everything Counselor Tracy said. It's our premier hotel. Have they looked, can they show us some where they should, did they look in Lake Oswego? Did they look in West Lynn? Did they look in Happy Valley? I mean, why Gladstone? Why are they coming here to take our premier hotel when we do enough for low income people, I believe, in this city as it is. So of course, everybody wants to help the homeless people out, but as to Counselor Hartman's point, is it what kind of housing is it going to be for who? And they haven't told us nothing, but I'm with Counselor Tracy. I don't think you give up our best hotel. You know what I mean? So that's it.
Counselor Ripley.
I think I mean, what we're all talking about is pretty much all the same thing. I think one of the things that I see is if we did say, let's go ahead and try this and it didn't work out, we're going to end up losing Safeway. We're going to be losing all kinds of businesses and stores. And there's no, once this ball starts rolling, you can't stop it. We can't 5-10 years down the road say, let's take it back to sell it to somebody to run as a motel again. We're not going to be able to do anything about it. Yeah, I've talked to maybe half dozen people around town. And every time I've mentioned this, you should see the looks on the faces I get when people hear that this is a thought. My other thought is there's, Gladstone's a little tiny incorporated city. There's a lot of Clackamas County that's not incorporated. They could go take those areas and ruin them than this little tiny town on a fixed income.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to ask Chief Smerber, would you believe if this was to happen, that you would have to get additional officers?
I do believe the call load would increase, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Which means a bigger budget. How are we going to do that? Or where are we going to take the money from to cover that?
Well,
Mike,
yeah,
go ahead.
well, there's no anywhere in we don't know much, but that they're not going to help supplement, right? Like that's not even being talked about.
We have no information.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I will share that in my conversation with the county administrator, when I mentioned this would be the loss of transient lodging tax and property tax dollars, he said, you are correct. So he didn't say
So no.
we can help.
Well, going back to that point, then you are correct. Plus, we will actually have to go back into the city coffers to increase funding for the other resources that are going to be used. And I mean, not just because there are folks that are living there, but there are folks that have high resource needs, right? I mean, this is what transitional housing is about. And you have a plan and you have the resources paid for and you have that going forward. So we're not only going to lose the revenue, we're also going to have to go back. And that means the parks probably will lose money and the other city coffers will lose money. I mean, I just don't think there's any upside at this point for the town.
Well, and what we haven't talked about is this hotel is really the center of our whole tourism strategy. And it's to bring people here to stay the night, to spend money in our town. And we're going to take the hotel away where they won't be able to spend the night. And we've spent over 2 years and money, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Almost 4 years.
4 years
Yeah.
on that. So that would all go out the window. I did talk to Chair Smith yesterday and I told her that. She did assure me that there are other hotels that they're looking at. I threw out an option, which I don't know if I believe it's for sale, is the hotel next to Gustav's off 205, right next to health services, right across the freeway from tons of jobs. It's service heavy where we are service light. We just don't have the facilities.
I think
Support this.
if they're looking for feedback too, if it sounds like they could go around us and just do it, having a stipulation that we service Gladstone residents first. I mean, we can get the data from the schools about how many of our children and families are living in poverty and houselessness, like servicing our residents of Gladstone, reserving X amount of rooms if they go around us, which it sounds like maybe they can. that should be a stipulation.
So do you need a consensus from us or do you want a?
Garlington hasn't done.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Counselor Garlington.
I just have a couple of things to say. Number one, when you talk about losing park revenue, I'm just wondering if everybody'd like to pony up
the
maybe
button.
$10 a visit to Meldrum Bar to cover the cost of losing the money, because toilet paper is not free. So, and then the other thing I'd like to say is that Clackamas County, and I know that we have discussed this lightly because Counselor Tracy had brought up reading the report. We haven't really received a definitive report from Tukwila about how things are going, compiling all of the data on how quickly are they moving people into the housing and then out with beings that it's supposed to be transitional housing. Many people in here, I believe, have seen the inside of that facility. And while it's lovely, it's not permanent housing. I can't imagine that a hotel could be considered permanent housing, but okay. So I think in that rush thing, I think it's time, it's not out of our purview to say, hey, could we get a report from the county? I mean, Tukwila is county, right? So have they come back to us and said, hey, we'd like to offer up some numbers? No, they have not. So with that, I think it's time that we put on the brakes and just say, well, it's just not what we're looking for right now. So thank you, but no, thank you.
So give them Mindy's phone number. Well, from what I understand, we're already really heavy with Section 8 housing, and it's information that we are not allowed to have because it's protected. But we also have a lot of transitional, we have Oxford houses, there's a couple gang halfway houses in Gladstone. We already have a lot, but we don't know exactly what that number is. I don't want us to be the ones that carry the burden. It needs to be spread out throughout our county. I mean, not that it's a burden, it's not a burden. We need to help people, but other people need to pitch in too.
We need money for
Yeah.
capacity, right?
Yeah.
It's moving too fast and not the right fit.
And they must have known about this a while ago. Why didn't they start reaching out? I mean, August 19th was the close or was it the open?
That was the close. I think it was,
Close.
I think it was June 24th was when it opened.
So they've known about this for a while. Why didn't they be a little bit proactive and start reaching out to the cities?
Why, Jackie?
before?
Tell us.
Yeah, Jackie.
I hear a resounding no.
All right. So you just
Thanks,
want to.
but no thanks.
Thanks, but no thanks.
But I also think to make sure that, like, we want to help, but they've given us nothing to go off of and no time whatsoever, at least that in my opinion.
And it's just one other thing. I know this is just kind of a side note, but when you had talked about the fact that this property is on the market, how do we keep that property, a hotel so that we don't lose that? We need that, as Counselor Tracy said. I mean, we need that. If we don't have that, then we don't have the tourism aspect. We don't have, it's a full property a lot of the time. I mean, I see people there all the time. I've only been in it a few times, but how do we help them want to be a part of the community? Or is it on the market just simply because it's making it easier for Clackamas County to have that segue to a conversation? I guess.
I think a lot of hotels were hurt in the pandemic.
Right.
Maybe it's, I don't know if it's an individual donor or not donor, individual owner or entire organization, but I think a lot of hotels are.
Yeah, and that doesn't surprise me.
Because they were getting waivers.
Right. So that was my other question. Are the vouchers that people get, is the hotel in Gladstone not able to say thanks, but no thanks? Do they have to take them?
Yeah.
So maybe that could be part of why they're on the market. And maybe that's a conversation that, given the fact that we are relying on them, I think that that's a conversation that we need to not have. I think it's important that we talk to whoever it is and say, what can Gladstone, what do you need from us to make this a really good fit?
We have
Well,
to do
I
that.
I don't believe that you pay transient lodging tax on voucher rooms.
That is correct. We
Right.
do not.
So
And we don't know if they're a willing seller publicly or because of this opportunity.
mm,
Well, that was my concern because you can, like across over in the Cove, they put those apartments. And I know people in Oregon, and that boosted all the Oregon City Shopping Center, all up and down Main Street. It's a boost. So if they're on the market, I'm sure a developer would come and want to, on High Rocks, put up some apartments or condominiums or something. So have they opened any offers like that, or are they just only working with the county right now?
I don't have the answer to
Yeah,
that.
those would be top dollar apartments for sure. All right, so you don't need anything else from us on that one?
speaker, no.
Mayor, you did have someone that had signed up to speak.
And I don't see him here.
He's on Zoom.
Oh, he is. Okay. I don't see anybody on Zoom.
Okay. It'll be Michael Milch.
Oh, okay. I just assumed he wasn't here because he wasn't in the audience.
Michael, you should be able to become a panelist. Looks like he's trying to come. There we go. Michael, you should be able to unmute yourself.
There we go. Well, I came tonight prepared to help the council make their decision, but actually I think what I'd like to do is address the people at the state level and the county level on this matter in general. Oregon's original project turnkey made good sense. Conversion of hotels for temporary transitional housing of individuals and families displaced by the pandemic and devastating wildfires was a compassionate response to an emergency situation and a sensible use of federal stimulus funds. But I'm not so sure about Project Turnkey 2.0. Converting hotels into temporary housing for the homeless in limited circumstances can be a sensible idea. However, eventual conversions to permanent housing as proposed here are not as cost-effective as advertised. The turnover time is not as expeditious, and they in and of themselves do not offer a wholesale solution to homelessness. Hotels are innately designed to provide temporary residency, so retrofitting them for permanent housing can more than double the cost. They are also the ongoing maintenance costs associated with housing a population largely troubled by diseases, including mental health and substance abuse. Over and above the purchase costs are the often unspoken costs of the continuing rental subsidies for these units. While such subsidies are attributable to all permanent housing projects, they are rarely, if ever, mentioned in project budgets. According to a 2020 Cal Matters article, these ongoing subsidies could run $10,000 annually for the life of the resident. Also missing from the conversion discussion are the concepts of accountability and treatment to ensure resident safety and the safety of the surrounding community. The 2019 study by the UCLA Policy Lab found that 78% of unsheltered adults struggle with mental illness and 75% of adults struggle with substance abuse disorders. Absent of accountability and treatment services, hotel conversions simply warehouse our community's most vulnerable residents. In the homelessness debate, the fascination with housing, including the technical details of how to finance and build as much as possible, has displaced interest in solutions to the problems of untreated mental illness, addiction, and chronic health conditions. Without a focus on treating these diseases, hotel conversions are a distraction posing as an innovation. I urge you and the county and the state to exercise caution in considering this approach to this issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the statistics. That was very helpful. All right, do we have anybody else? I think that was it for that item. Tammy, did we have anybody else that signed up?
We do not, no.
Okay, so next is business from the, oh, do we have business carried forward?
I have nothing further tonight. Thank you.
All right, business from the audience is next. Each person has 3 minutes to speak. Our governing body takes the input of our citizens into consideration. However, in order to comply with Oregon public meeting laws, this isn't a time for dialogue, but instead a time for us to listen. Our city administrator and clerk are taking notes as well as us in case an item requires further action. Tammy, could you call the first person up, please?
First is Lisa Halcom.
All right, thank you. All right, Lisa Helcom, Happy Rock Coffee. So Gladstone is relatively small. I know pretty much all of you from at least some point over the last 13 years that my shop has been in existence, whether it be through volunteer work or community projects or just from getting coffee. Citizens, including myself, first reached out to the city council regarding hate groups moving into town over a year ago. I was confused as to why our city did not denounce hate groups or at least make a statement about equality. Then I came to find out that the mayor's sister is part of the hate group, the Proud Boys. On August 24th, we had an event at Happy Rock Coffee. We had a completely full house. We were surrounded by the mayor's sister's friends. There was more than 20 Proud Boys who called us all faggots, pedophiles, and groomers. The police showed up and were dismissive. They allowed the Proud Boys to be there and hurl their hate speech and block walkways. One of the police officers was heard agreeing with Proud Boys that we are all pedophiles. Gladstone police allowed the Proud Boys to create a gauntlet of verbal abuse that people had to walk through in order to get to my shop. I was under the impression that groups were not allowed to block walkways or impede business. The library had to close early because of their presence. Every single person who attended bingo heard the shouting and saw the police in action. 1 week later, on the night of the 31st, my van was keyed and my tires were slashed. I have no clue what's going on with the investigation, but I've heard from people in the neighborhood. Somehow they know more than I do. But back to August 24th. After such an overt display of bias and hate, I turned to the police log to see what they had said. Well, according to the Gladstone Police Department, they responded to a protest on the 400 block of Portland Avenue. There was no mention of any hate. Imagine my surprise to see that Gladstone PD claimed that there were 0 bias incidents in August after being observed by so many witnesses. The police department has an obligation to report bias incidents to the Oregon Department of Justice, which clearly did not happen in this case. Now, yesterday, the mayor's sister, Debbie Lum, hopped back onto my Happy Rock Facebook page and left a couple comments saying that I broke my own windows and slashed my own tires in order to make Proud Boys look bad. She also wanted to say that there was no video of the tire slashing. Now, where would she get that information? Anyways, I don't totally understand what Debbie is up to with her constant posting on my page, but I'm not going to be bullied out of my own town. The police, the city council, and the mayor need to take all of this seriously, especially the mayor. That's what really gets me. Tammy Stemple won't be remembered as Gladstone's first female mayor, saver of libraries, or preserver of parks. Mayor Stemple will be remembered for ushering in the hate group era of Gladstone. That will be her legacy.
Okay, no comments from the audience. Thank you. All right, next, please.
Next is Robert Wilson.
Thanks for taking the time to hear me. My name is Robert Wilson. I'm a Westland resident, but former Gladstone resident, and I have a lot of family and friends in this town. And I just wanted to say thank you very much for taking the time to hear me out here. My main reason for being here today is to address the constant noise pollution that's occurring at Meldrum Park from a handful of two-stroke jet skis that are wreaking havoc, I think, not only on the park, but also along the communities that share the shorelines of the Willamette. And I wanted to just play a little video sound so you guys can kind of hear what this noise sounds like. So I'll spare you the rest of that, but this is not something that just goes on for 30 seconds and then dissipates. The particular jet skiers in question parked there for 4 or 5 hours, pretty much on a daily basis, all summer through October. And the result of this is the community's, really feeling like they're going insane. You can't be outside. You can hear it through windows. People work from home these days. it wakes my kids up, during their naps. It's really quite unbearable. So I don't think this is the first time you've heard about this. In fact, Mayor and Police Chief, I believe, signed a letter to the Oregon State Marine Board earlier this year to lower the decibel limits on particularly targeting these particular jet skis, which are two-stroke jet skis. And that was granted by the Oregon State Marine Board to lower the decibel limit from 84 down to 75, which is a great first step. The current jet skis are still violating those decibel limits, but it's very difficult to use certain technology to measure that to really, hone in on that particular noise and filter out any other particular noise from other boats or whatnot. But I guess one of the points I wanted to make here is that this is not normal boat traffic. This is not normal noises that should be put up with by the surrounding communities. And there's a couple, I think there's another letter that is, we're asking for your assistance to sign to potentially go back to the Oregon State Marine Board and limit some of the particular aerobatic flips and things like that that are occurring there. So I know my time's up. I think there's a couple other of my community members here that would like to probably speak on the subject as well. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for coming over. Next, Scott Capps. How do you spell your last name?
Excuse me, Kappes.
Yes.
Did I send you the link?
We're gonna try, yes.
Okay, let's give it a try. This is a video that we created from both sides of the river of what my partner just described. And this is on YouTube. Get a feel for what we're dealing with.
Minecraft. Oh, yeah. Okay, real quick, I've got a minute. I live on the river. I'm in unincorporated Clackamas County, but I'm shouting distance to Meldrum Bar, so I can see it right there. I can see the ramp. So I hear this every day. It's not just a weekend event. So it's a disaster. First of all, I wanted to say, Meldrum Bar is for the public, and I do know that Gladstone created a letter. It's sent to the Oregon State Marine Board, but our focus now is to try and change the decibel limit designation didn't work. Okay.
So we're now trying to change our position to the State Marine Board to aerials and flips and tuning exhaust systems while they're on their trailer, on the gravel bar, these type of things, to really focus on a specific group that's creating the issues out there. Okay. Really no residents of Gladstone are affected by this because even though Gladstone is adjacent to Meldrum Bar, there really isn't much residential in that area. So I'm very close. My partner's across the river. It's really something else. So we've got a letter we'd like to give to you to review. The city, we spoke at the city of West Lynn last night. They're going to review it and most likely sign it, as long as the sheriff as well. So we can send that to you if you'd like. Okay. Yes, the State Marine Board meeting is on the 19th. So here we go, pretty quick. Anyway, so it's coming up, I think, on Monday. Yeah, here we go again. I think it's still up for discussion. We're just trying to
This
get
is for the final order.
communities to kind of jump to do this, but
Okay,
I mean, I could give you a copy of the letter. I could send it to you electronically.
just send electronically to
Okay.
Jackie. Yeah.
Got it. Excellent. Thank you.
Is this something that we can put on for like the next council meeting for an agenda item? It's something that we've been talking, that behind the scenes we've been talking about.
October 11th will be past their deadline.
Yeah. Okay.
And if it's up to, you can either collectively as a body sign it, or you can sign it individually.
Okay.
It's up to the elected officials.
Well, get it and then send it to each of us, and then we can decide how we want to move forward with it. I did go down and talk to a couple of the people that have the jet skis, and it's a party. They are just having a great time. And the biggest issue that I saw is that they launch from the beach, and for them, that's super easy. And if you make them launch from the boat ramp, it won't be so easy. So maybe that might be a step. Yeah. So anyway.
I don't even know if they have to pay the fee, the launch fee, to launch it off the gravel.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. So we will look into that. All right. So do we have anybody else?
No.
All right. So next is business from the council. Hold on. Let me get my paperwork straight here. Counselor Todd, and I won't forget you, Mindy, I promise.
I don't have anything right now. Thank you.
All right. Counselor Hartman.
Only thing, as I know we're doing the work session on homelessness next month at the end. I just wanted to put it out there. I'm hoping that, and I don't know if this is possible or anyone else agrees, to bring in some CBOs to hear their, like community-based organizations like Love One or Our Father's Heart, to just, they're the experts in this field, to see like what is their experience. Just to have like a sort of really well-rounded education session for all of us, and just hearing your perspective and what it is that they do to sort of mitigate those situations, and sort of just hearing all the barriers, I think, is what at least I'm looking for. So yeah, I think that's it.
All right. Counselor Tracy.
Nothing, thank.
Counselor Alexander.
I have nothing also.
Counselor Ripley.
Two things. The jet skis and boats on the river. I'm 2 blocks this side of McLaughlin, and I hear that every day from at my house. That's how far that sound is going. The other thing, I don't hear it constant, but probably every 10, 15 minutes, I hear a boat going up the river. I hear something. The other thing that I wanted to mention was this Tukwila place. I'm not sure if they have somebody at the front door checking people out or watching them leave, but one thing I've seen a lot of stuff in Gladstone, but Saturday was the first time I seen an old lady walking down the sidewalk with a t-shirt and a full diaper on, and that was it. And that's, if they're going to be bringing these people in, they need to have some sort of, I don't want to say supervision, but you're not taking care of people when you're allowing them to do that.
They could have come from Somerset.
Yeah,
too.
there's memory care
Yeah.
and senior
Yeah,
living.
she
right across the
she wasn't
street.
quite that far yet.
Oh,
She was just about the middle of the Mormon church there, coming this direction. I did see her a couple hours later sitting on a bus stop on Oakfield. She had pants on then. So I'm not sure she took them down there to get dressed to the bus stop or what the deal was, but they need to keep their eye on that kind of stuff. That's
Yeah.
kind of ridiculous.
Thank you. Counselor Garlington.
So I read the police report or the parks report from Mr. Canaparoli about the continued vandalism at the parks. So I got 2 words for all of you. It's called park hosts. If we had people down there watching what was going on at the park, opening it at a certain time in the morning, closing it at a certain time at night, we wouldn't have this. But that's a discussion that went by the wayside. So the library board is meeting again, or, as our regular meeting on Thursday, and we are reading a new set of library standards that I hope that our library is, our Clackamas County Library Board is, not that I hope, we're making sure that we're in compliance with this new one. And one thing I wanted to bring up is that, there's been a lot of talk in the news about watching over what books we have in libraries and possibly taking some of them out. And Clackamas County is not doing that. Clackamas County is really, has a really progressive idea, mindset about bringing in new books and keeping things open and inclusive for everyone. And I really give our librarian there a lot of credit for the books that she orders and listening to what the public wants. And she's just wonderful about giving kids free books. I mean, kids can't get to the library every week. I mean, we would love for our kids to get to the libraries every week, but that doesn't always happen. So sometimes it is that free book that gets put into somebody's hand that that gives them a whole new love of reading and or a path that maybe they had never considered or they never had learned about in life. So I give kudos to the library, the Clackamas County Library people. They're really doing a great job. So the League of Oregon Cities is having a We Talk, and it's for, it's our women's caucus. And the talk is going to be on elected officials running for office. What's that going to entail for people, mainly women? And if you'd like more information, anybody running for office, give me a call. I hope that we can get people on that listening session. What Councilor Hartman and myself have learned from other people, for starters, is that we are, as a council, are not alone. We're not much different than a lot of places. And in a lot of sense, we have a much better council, and other places there's always room for work, but it's a really good one, a good group of people. So anyway, if you're a woman running for an elected office, contact me and I'll make sure you get the link to that meeting. My volunteer soapbox for this month is going to be for Gladstone. We have spots for the boards and the commissions. You get on the city website, the information is all there. If you've never considered running, being on a board or a commission, it's an easy way to get involved and to feel involved, to be one of the voices of Gladstone. And being a voice of Gladstone is a good place to be. You meet great people. You get to make the decisions. You get to help make the decisions and guide where we want to see things happen. The other place is Neighbors Helping Neighbors or the Senior Center. Both of those do require background checks, but again, that's on the city website. And then the last Saturday of the month at the Gladstone Nature Park, sometimes it's just picking up trash, but you get to meet great people and be a part of the community. So I just can't say enough about volunteering. Please, please stick your neck out there and do it.
Oh, I did forget something. With the weekend events, the fires, I did want to commend, well, if you have signed up for alerts for fire alerts, the county has updated their profiles for people, where now what we learned back in 2 years, if you have a disability or if you have livestock, that'll take you a little bit longer to get out. You can now update your profile and they will alert you ahead of time, which is really awesome.
Like pre-boarding. Like what? Like pre-boarding, you know, if you need more time to like board.
I was really excited to see that. Like that's really good. So I just forgot to share that.
All right. Food pantry is open from 3 to 6 on Thursdays at the Hillside Christian Fellowship Church off Glen Echo. We're in the back portable buildings. Currently, we need volunteers. And Mindy forgot to mention the food pantry also is a great place to volunteer. And we need donations, staples like pasta, spaghetti sauce, cereal, snacks. But really, we'll take anything that you guys can give. And especially your time, we really, really need volunteers. It's my happy place. They're the best group of people you will ever meet. If you'd like to volunteer, let me know and I'll connect you with our director, Alex. If you'd like to donate, the prep crew is there on Wednesdays from 2 to 3:30 and the pantry is open Thursdays from, I think we moved it from 2:30 to 6 to accommodate more people. This Friday, well, last week we served, I think 71 families in Gladstone, 20 plus, Tiffany's not here. It might be more seniors, homebound seniors, and we're servicing just about every resident at Tukwila Springs. So because of that, Counselor Hartman, myself, Michelle Prusso from the Senior Center, and our food pantry director is going to be cooking dinner for the Tukwila Springs people using food pantry items to show them what we can do. So that's pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to that. The Parks and Rec meeting last night was great. They accomplished a lot in a very short period of time. They've approved projects at Robin Hood Park, which they identified via a neighborhood survey. They're going to be replacing the basketball backboard and net with something that's durable and will be restriping the court. And this should be done by the end of October, hopefully sooner. Public Works Director Canaparoli provided a breakdown of the costs associated with the rampant vandalism and graffiti, and I've got the list right here. And just this year alone, the parks budget has been hit with just the materials cost of about $5,000. And the worst part is labor is at 106.5, and I really don't think that's actually capturing everything. So that's one person that we need to do their normal job that's spending 2.5 weeks cleaning up graffiti and vandalism. That's disgusting. That should never be allowed. So if you see something, say something, report it. If you see graffiti and vandalism, let us know who's doing it, because this is ridiculous. These are our tax dollars. These are our people that we need to run our city that are down cleaning up people's stupidity. So yeah, we need to get a handle on that one. Halloween, we're starting to plan Halloween, and it's going to be on Halloween. We're going to close down part of Portland Avenue again and have a big party. So if anybody wants to have a booth, a 10 by 10 booth, let us know and we'll find you a place. And then trunk or treating was really popular last time, so we're going to bring that back. So if you want to trunk or treat, we have literally thousands of people that come down to Portland Avenue. So make sure you have a lot of candy. And then we're going to have a band also. So it's really exciting. Our next meeting, September 27th, we have the City Volunteer Celebration at the Senior Center from 5:30 to 6:30. October 11th, City Council meeting, 6:30 here at City Hall. And the 25th of October will be the City Council work session at 5:30 at City Hall. That's all I have. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'm sorry. I should have wrote this
One more
down.
thing.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to share over the weekend again. I just wanted to thank Counselor Todd and Counselor Alexander and folks in the room that pitched in to help folks that don't even live in Gladstone. But Counselor Alexander bought dinner for my father's heart. And yes, it was really great. And the community, again, this is why Gladstone was great, came together to help people. So thank you. That was one thing.
Awesome. All right. I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Counselor Hartman. I made a motion by Counselor Hartman, seconded by Counselor Garlington and Alexander. Do we have any questions or concerns? I don't see any. Could you do a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Ripley,
Yes.
Counselor Alexander,
Yes.
Counselor Tracy.
Aye.
Counselor Hartman.
Aye.
Counselor Todd,
Aye.
Counselor Garlington.
Yes.
Mayor Stemple.
Yes, meeting's adjourned at 7:54 PM. Thank you.